Hello and welcome to School View, a production of Students First and the Rochester City School District. I'm Tom Petronio, Communications Director for the district and your host for School View. On March 9, 2007, 35 robots invaded the campus of Rochester Institute of Technology. It wasn't science fiction, but it was science. It was the regional robotics competition sponsored by FIRST, an international organization promoting science and engineering among young people. Students from 35 schools from Rochester and beyond designed, built, and entered robots in the competition with support from corporate partners. The champions? The Franklin XQ Robotics team. Joining us today on School View are members of that team from the 3 high schools on the Franklin campus and mentors from their corporate partner, Xerox. With us are Luis Arroyo, sophomore at the Global Media Arts High School at Franklin, Louis Cleveland, sophomore at the International Finance and Economic Development Career High School at Franklin, and Glenn Keenan, design engineer at Xerox and team leader and mentor for XQ Robotics. Gentlemen, thank you for being here, and congratulations on the Regional Robotics Championship.
Thank you.
Glenn, can you give us an idea of what the scene was like at RIT that day for the regional competition? 35 robots, students from all over. What was it like?
Intense, exciting. A lot of confusion at some points of time, but we fared well. We had some problems with the robot early on, overcame those problems, got through the qualifying rounds, and then got selected to be an alliance partner in the finals.
So it's a day-long production,
It's a day-long production. We start at 7:30 in the morning, and the competition goes on till about 5 o'clock in the afternoon for qualifying rounds on Friday, and Saturday morning it starts over again, and then about noonish they start the selection for the finals.
Now, what was the game this year? They called it Rack and Roll. What was involved?
Rack and Roll, they had a set of what they called spider racks. It was a tower with a bunch of arms coming out of it with a 10-inch disc out on the end of it, and they had air-filled donuts, kind of like a tire inner tube, and you had to pick those up and place them on the rack. There was also additional scoring if you were able to raise your robot 12 inches or more up off the floor. And how that was accomplished was by driving up onto another alliance partner's robot, if they had one that you could drive up on.
Okay. So in addition to the engineering skills, a lot of strategy involved.
A lot of strategy, yes.
Okay. Louis, tell us about how you created this robot. That was the goal, to try and get these rings over the arms. How long did it take you to do this, and what went into the construction and design of the robot?
Well, first we were introduced to the game early on in January of '07, and after we got introduced, they gave us a kit of parts for the robots, and after that we had 2 days to come up with a design for the robot. So we were able to build that in separate groups.
Everybody took a different part, and the teams all brought their sections together.
Yeah, and formed a robot Homer. That's what we called it.
Homer?
Yeah.
Okay. So this was all done in a pretty short time frame, it sounds like. January, you got to know the game. You had to work from a limited number of parts.
Yes.
You could only use what was in the kit, right?
Yes, we only had 6 weeks, and we kind of lost a week because snow days happened, but we actually met the deadline and shipped the robot and was able to go to the competition.
That's something, and that was in March, so it was really less than 2 months altogether.
Yeah.
Very good. Louis, obviously your robot did a great job. You came home as the champs. Tell us a little bit about the competition and how you guys worked with the robot during the competition.
We had to practice the robot. We had 1 day of practice rounds, and that day we was limited to 3 practice matches and everything. But since we didn't have that much time to practice with the robot at Franklin, we had to practice during the competition. So it was like for our drivers to have a first-time experience for practicing the robot, because we didn't have that much time and everything. So after the practice matches, for the qualifying matches, we did good in some matches, and we didn't do so good. We had good alliance partners and everything. Our robot, it really did well. It scored about 3 donuts on each rack. It was an average of that and everything. And during the final matches and everything, we did really well. We was the only scoring robot for our alliance partners and everything, and we drove up the ramp, and plus we played a little bit of defense during that game, so it was a great experience and everything. So, plus, during that competition, our robot had broke down during the last final match, so we had to take a 5 minutes timeout, and during that 5 minutes, we had to fix the arm and everything, so we can get back into the competition. So it was really intense and everything.
Now, how did you do that fix? Do you have spare parts? Did you have to scramble to find parts?
No, we had spare parts. We had some people from other teams that helped us build the robot. Mainly some teams from our alliance partners that helped us bring spare parts in so we can fix the robot.
What would you say was the most exciting moment of that day?
The most exciting moment of that day is when you was waiting for the score of the last final match, because everybody was so intense to see who had won that match and everything.
Everybody's on edge.
Yeah.
Lewis mentioned somebody as the driver or several people as drivers.
Mm-hmm.
What do the team members do to actually operate the robot, and are you in different groups during the competition?
Well, to that question, we have 4 people in the drives team. 1 is the driver, 1 operates the arm and the claw, and the 2 other people is a coach, and the other is a human player. And we all take part to try to win the match, because a human player throws rings over the arena towards the robot or the rack to score points. The arm and the driver and the coach has to talk to each other so we can be able to score, and the human is included in that too. And as the match goes on, we have to try to communicate, because if you just drive in trying to put donuts up on the rack, it's really hard to win that way. You need to communicate with your alliance partners, come up with a tactical plan. Anything, just communication is the best way to go.
Mm-hmm. Communication and teamwork, it sounds like?
Yes.
What for you was the most exciting moment of the competition?
My exciting part in the competition was when in the regionals, one of our matches, our alliance partners had a ramp, and we actually got up on the ramp for the first time in the competition. That was kind of exciting.
So that gave you extra points,
Yeah.
as Glenn was saying?
Yes.
Very cool. Now, Glenn, a little bit about the corporate partner aspect. Franklin was partnered with Xerox for this project. Tell us a little bit about the role of the partner and how Xerox is involved from start to finish.
Xerox's involvement is that first they provide the funding for the team. The initial startup cost for a team for a competition for the year is $6,000. And Xerox provides that $6,000 to the team, which gets you the kit of parts and entry into one of the regional competitions. Beyond that, Xerox also supplies mentors. There's myself, and on our team there's 7 other mentors from Xerox, everywhere from electrical engineers to software to mechanical folks. And we work with the students. We break off into groups of 2 to 3 students per mentor, and we break the groups down into software, electrical, and mechanical, as Lewis had mentioned earlier. And the teams work together in subsystems, and then it all comes together to build one robot.
How often would you say you got together as a team over the course of that 2-month period?
These students and the mentors themselves all put in well over 100 hours apiece. It's a 6-week process for building a robot. From when you get the game to when you get a ship, it's a 6-week period. And we met basically 3 nights a week and all day on Saturdays.
Quite a commitment.
Yes, quite a commitment.
You guys must be pretty proud of the championship. Well,
Yes.
congratulations.
We're proud, and I'm proud of the students we had this
Most
year.
definitely. Well, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back to further discuss the first regional robotics competition with another member of the Franklin XQ Robotics team when we return from this break. Stay with us. Welcome back to School View, a production of Students First and the Rochester City School District, where today we're talking with the Franklin XQ Robotics team, champions of the first Finger Lakes Regional Robotics Competition. Joining us for this portion of our show are Tyler Hall, a sophomore at the Global Media Arts High School at Franklin, Paul Dericki, science teacher at the School of International Finance and Economic Development at Franklin and team teacher for the XQ Robotics, and Willie Robinson Jr., manager of community education programs at Xerox. Thank you all for being here.
Thanks.
Willie, let's start with you. Xerox is, as we've said, a partner with Franklin in the first program. You're also partners with the XCats from Wilson Magnet High School. How long has Xerox been involved in the first robotics program?
Well, actually, Xerox has been involved since the early years, back in the early 90s. 1992 is when Xerox actually sponsored the Wilson Commencement Academy, Wilson Magnet High School. But basically got involved because we believe in giving back to the community, and this was an opportunity to really show that we are concerned about our young people and developing them to be future scientists and engineers. And in the early years, Dean Kamen, the founder of the program, started this program with the idea of showing kids that sports were not the only way, but this was like a sporting events of the mind, where the kids could actually use their minds and actually have cooperation is what a new term that they came up with. They're actually cooperating together, but it's actually friendly competition, and really stressing the whole idea of gracious professionalism. And I'm sure they'll talk a little bit about that later.
And Xerox feels so strongly that the volunteers who are mentors to the team are given the release time to do this?
Well, actually, the program is geared such that the employees can volunteer after hours. However, we do give the employees basically 5 days to go to the regional competitions as well as the national competition, which has been in Atlanta, Georgia for the past 3 years.
Okay, let's go back to the competition itself at RIT. Your teammates were talking about the team alliances that helped each team achieve their goals and get some scoring on the board at the competition. What is meant by an alliance, and how did you work together with other teams?
Well, alliance was basically a team of three robotics teams that either had a robot that could score or a robot that was a ramp. But in most of our matches, it was a robot that had a ramp that allowed us to score more points at the end of the game. And during the game, like before the end of the game happened, we had to score with our scoring robot.
And how did you communicate with these alliance partners? Was it verbal, or was it kind of just intuition with what you needed each other to do?
Yeah, we communicated before the matches and after the matches and during.
So before you actually got into play, you knew who your alliance partners were?
Yes, because we went around scouting and asking questions, can a robot score, or how fast it can go, and can it play defense?
Now, what did you like about the competition the most? We were talking off camera about some of the skills that you gained and that you're thinking of going into engineering as a field. Tell me what you liked about the skills you were able to use during this process.
I like to use my math skills and science skills to figure out that what parts should be going to what and what operated what on the robot.
And you're thinking of what fields of engineering possibly after high school?
Either technical, computing, and electrical.
Very good. And you think part of that interest came about from being part of the first robotics?
Yes, because first I wanted to be an architect.
Okay, and this opened your eyes to something different? Great. Paul, can you talk a little bit about the skills, the big picture? What are the skills that FIRST is designed to bring out in students? I know there's a technical end and there's a more interpersonal skills.
On the technical side, FIRST, one of the things I heard a lot of the kids mention was the statement that I've never worked with any tools before, and now I'm working with all types of power tools, drill presses, lathes, whatnot, electrical, soldering, doing software work, and they had never been exposed to even a screwdriver before. And a lot of the kids on the team expressed that now they can handle it all. And that's what's impressive. Even their end product was the robot, and we also saw how successful they were with that. The other aspect that I can personally vouch for, I've coached different sports for over 10 years, and they try to make this like a sporting event, But where it does become different is where you're supporting your opponents at times. There may be a robot that breaks down, and you may be helping them to fix the robot so they can continue, or vice versa. And in the end, they may end up beating you. And it's not a win at all costs thing. What's held in more value is to always cooperate and work to the end product. Cooperation and getting along with everybody is more important than winning.
That's this co-opetition that Willie was referring to.
Absolutely.
And back to you, Willie. FIRST sponsors regional robotics competitions all over the world throughout the year, and their goal is to get young people excited about science and engineering. How do you think this impacts these fields in terms of preparing the next generations of employees to go into science and technology?
Well, that's one of the great aspects of the program, because it gives our engineers at work an opportunity to really enhance their skills in areas like project management, time to market, and Lean Six Sigma. But it also gives the students an opportunity to see what real engineers do, and they actually give them the realistic processes that they're using so as they're going through their clean sheet designs and designing their robots.
And obviously, students like Tyler feel that it's given them some insight into what it's like to be an engineer.
Absolutely, absolutely.
If a school or a student wants to get involved in FIRST Robotics, where can they turn?
On the screen, it shows the web address that they can get all of the details about the program, www.firstrochester.org. And they can also contact me at willie.robinson@xerox.com. And I'm a part of the Finger Lakes Regional Planning Committee, of which Ron Borden, he's the chair. He's an employee at Bosch and Lime. But we have a cross-function of different corporations that are working together to bring regional competitions to RIT. And that website, that firstrochester.org, is where you can get that information. Ron Borden is the main contact, but if they need to have any specific questions answered, I'm always willing and available to answer those questions as well.
And I'm assuming there's always room for more students.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're looking for, if a student is really interested and involved and they don't have the program at their school, ask the school, ask their teachers, how can they get involved? And then the school can in turn contact us at the Finger Lakes Regional Planning Committee, because the goal is to have a FIRST team in every high school within the city. Currently we have 6 city teams that are involved, East, Edison, Marshall, Franklin, and Wilson. And then there are some suburban schools that are involved as well, 7 suburban schools that are involved too. The
So
program is
students-
huge, it's huge. There's over 1,300 teams across the country, not just in the United States, but also abroad in Brazil and Italy. It's everywhere.
So our students should contact their teachers if there's not a team at their school right now.
Absolutely.
And get involved in the FIRST Robotics competitions. We've been talking to the Franklin XQ Robotics team, champions of the first Finger Lakes Regional Robotics Competition here in Rochester. Thank you all for being here today.
Thanks
And
for
thank you, our audience, for joining us for School View. And we hope to see you again next time. Thank you.